Can you share a little bit more about the types of deals that you're seeing in the market? Really, what's hot? What's in high demand right now from your perspective and the conversations that you're having out in the field?
Yeah, I'll start just by saying, the deals that we typically work on are going to be, you know, roughly 20 to $300 million in annual revenue, um, and that could be a myriad of different, ownership structures. Could be everything from a family-owned company that started with a truck and a credit card to a private equity-backed business who's looking to sell for the second or third time. Um, right now it's been a interesting year on the freight front.
Mm-hmm.
So, everyone is experiencing that at different levels to the extent that a downturn in freight volumes has impacted their customers.
Hmm.
We've seen everything from people that are having great years and growing to people that have really had their legs cut out from them. So, um, it's made it an interesting deal environment in that coming out of the last 2 years, a lot of buyers, larger strategics were still well capitalized. They made a lot of money in a really strong freight environment and have been looking to deploy that into, either opportunities to diversify their customer base or their service base. And also just to acquire some solid companies to de-risk themselves in a potentially forward-looking volatile environment. So, I would say that we've seen a lot of activity recently. We had a final mile courier deal that we closed. We had a dry bulk carrier that we closed, and we had a freight brokerage that we closed, and a intermodal drayage deal that we closed. All of those are verticals that we were excited about
Sure.
last year, and we continue to be excited about forward looking. So
Yeah.
it's been less about any specific mode that's been exciting, and it's more been about what that management team looks like, what that customer base looks like, and what that owner wants the next season of their life to look like post transaction.
So, Stephen, on the buyer side, certainly that buyer pool also continues to grow, and growth via acquisition remains top of mind for a lot of strategics in our space. Kind of talk to us. I mean, despite the macro environment and the freight environment that Davis just mentioned over the past year, what are you hearing from buyers that are continuing to explore really investing in the T&L space right now?
Sure. So, would certainly echo several of the sentiments that Davis alluded to in his comments. For those that have been operating in, advising in, investing in this sector, well familiar at this point in the volatility in the macro environment and the freight environment that really started late last year and certainly has come on fairly heavily through this year. And I think by most accounts, I think sort of stabilizing at or near, hopefully a bottom currently, and looking up into next year, starting to hear some optimism in comments on earnings calls and so forth. So that's certainly encouraging. And I think stability is certainly one catalyst for deal flow, volatility being more of a headwind. So I
Sure.
think by all accounts, we've gotten through some of the worst, just from a peak uncertainty perspective. But to Davis's point, I think strategics are faring very well and are very opportunistic in the current market. I think coming off of 2021 and 2022 from a rate and equipment market standpoint, pretty well capitalized in most cases. So I think you're starting to see some pretty opportunistic plays there to acquire, grow organically, buy back shares, et cetera. And then I think you're also still seeing other folks outside of the strategic pool, whether that's private equity groups with a little bit of a newfound curiosity in the logistics space. I think the global supply chain disruption, through and post COVID, really perked up the eyes and ears of a number of folks that had not previously considered investing in the space. So I think
Yeah.
seeing some newfound interest in a variety of different ways. And then I think
Mhm.
also still seeing some interest from more of the private fleet side. So shippers or others that have an existing fleet or are curious about starting one, just to continue to grab more and more control of their supply chain and mitigate risk of some of the disruption that we've experienced the last few years. So I think still seeing that interest, but I would say today, strategics are certainly a key pool for us. And really taking a step back, obviously there's a lot to say about COVID and post-COVID trends and kind of where we're getting out of that. But independent of COVID, I think there's certainly a wave of consolidation in the space. I think there's just immense benefits to scale. There's an aging population of owners, et cetera. So I think those documented reasons are still alive and well, still, longer term tailwinds, so to speak, for deal flow. And so certainly still experiencing those as well.